Hi everyone, Big Al again. Been asked by a few YouTube watchers out there what to look for if the hot water is getting too hot by a long way, boiling I mean, and possibly running out the overflow out the back, and also if the heating is getting too hot, and again you can't seem to turn it down, it's just roasting, the boiler's running on and on. Now there's a few things to check. Now one thing I will say, if you've got a combi boiler and you find the combi is running outside, there's a pipe that runs out through the wall and it's protruding hot water from that pipe. If that is happening with a combi, yeah, it could be the stat on the combi, but there's also lots of other things it could be. If you have a combi boiler, I'm afraid this doesn't really relate to you, this video, because I'm afraid if that is running hot water outside, I'm afraid you will have to call a central heating engineer. Someone like me who charges cheap, but no, I'm only joking. You will have to recourse to an heating engineer to look at that. Okay, what we're talking about here though is a conventional heating hot water system. By that I mean a hot water tank in a cupboard, airing cupboard, wherever, and a little F&E tank in the loft, and radiators piped off. Okay, now the more basic system, 20-30 year old type system, if you've got just a gravity flow and return going to the hot water tank, that is, there's no controls, no three-way valve, no two-way valves, just two pipes go up and round to the hot water tank, and all that happens there is that the hot water gets as hot as the boiler stat. So when the boiler stat says is set, is how hot that water gets. So all you need to check really is that your boiler stat, whether it's a combi, whether it's a boiler on the wall, boiler outside, or in my case a Baxi type boiler like this, you just need to check your stat. I mean, if I take this panel off here, you can see my stat there. There he is down there, and that's in there. Okay, just set it down, put your boiler on, and just let it go. If it's later gets really hot, if you seem to be getting really hot, just turn it back a bit, turn it back, and it should click off. If you see it click off, it should go down. If it doesn't, then it does mean you've got a faulty stat, and that we want doing, because that should click off. Okay, so that's our first port of call really. If you've got a system whereby you've got motorised valves and the more common cylinder stat type arrangement and a room stat arrangement, then this is what you need to check next. First of all, okay, the most common one I've come up against when someone's got water pouring out their overflow from the F&E tank is because they may have had their grandchildren over, they may even have a big family with young children, and unbeknown to them, the airing cupboard could be in the children's bedroom. And what do children do? I mean, they get up to mischief, don't they? Half the time, they love it. And of course, there's something fun about getting into the airing cupboard, because there in the airing cupboard is this lovely little stat thing to play with, and it's a great game, you know. I mean, I've got mine set, it should be set at 60, you know. I set mine at 65 because I like it really hot for the shower, but 60, 65 is usually the general setting, usually 60, but I've found these set up right around here, as full as it'll go, because some little kiddie has decided to have some fun and turned it right round. So the first thing to go and check is that if that's too high, set it back to 60. This is usually the problem. 9 times out of 10, grandchildren have been round and fiddled around. I don't know how they managed to get in there to turn it, but some of them have got a little dial that you can actually turn. Mine's a bit more difficult because you had to put something in there to turn it, but believe me, children can manage to do it. So it's the first thing to check. Set it back if it's been turned round. Now if it isn't and it's still getting really, really hot, put your boiler on, let it go, wait till it starts getting really hot, and then try turning this down. Then go back and have a look at your boiler and see if it's gone off. If it hasn't gone off, then you've got probably a faulty cylinder stat. Okay, that's to be renewed, and that's usually 9 times out of 10 the answer for that one there. Okay, now the other one I've been asked about obviously is also obviously the heating, if it's running on and on. Old basic systems again that just relied on the boiler stat, you might have had just a pump on a tee off from the flow and return, and it just run on the thermostat switch basically, and it just pumped heating round. Well, obviously if the boiler stat was running off, it would still be pumping that heating round and getting hotter and hotter, but the stat should turn the pump off and stop it. Again, with the motorised valves, once they're going round, they should run round to the temperature of the thermostat, and once the thermostat reaches temperature, stop. But if it doesn't, you find it's getting really hot, then this little chappy here is probably the problem. Again, it should be set about 20, but check 21 if you really want it a lot warmer. But just check some hasn't just gone like this and knocked it up to 30. But just check it. Another way again, to see if it's faulty, just turn your boiler on, let it run. When it starts to get hot, you should hear a click as you turn it down. A little click. Today it's really warm, so it's not, you know, it's right up here before it will click. But you should hear the boiler go off. So turn it down and down. If the boiler doesn't go off when you've got it right down here, then this stat is faulty. And it's another little job. You can do it, they're easy enough. There's the wires, just copy the wires as you take them off and put them back on again and change it. I mean, there are all sorts of new stats now today. You can have wireless stats and things that you take into any room and adjust it. You know, I mean, to me, the more complicated and electronic things get, the more things there are to go wrong. But let's check the battery in one of those if you've got one of those wireless ones. But basically, it's just a case of checking things out. If after all that it doesn't stop the problem, you have to call someone like me again, or another plumber maybe, someone better maybe, who knows. Anyway, that's about it for that particular problem. Thanks very much for watching. All my videos, Derriton 33. Thanks for watching, guys.